BYU TV football analyst and former BYU/NFL linebacker David Nixon joining us on the Deseret First Credit Union hotline. David, welcome back to the show. First and foremost, Brian has a pink phone, man. Is it okay if Brian bought a pink iPhone?
Dave, before you answer that question, it's rose gold.
I mean, rose gold's pink. So
what? No, rose gold is rose gold, man. Rose gold is gold with a hint of red, a splash of red.
I'll be calling you on your pink phone to tell you to go trade that thing in as soon as the show's over.
It's a splash of red. That's what it is, man. That's what rose gold is.
Hey, you know you shouldn't mention red on this show. You know you're going to get blasted on social media for that.
I'm not going to get blasted, man. The fans know the difference between just pure red and rose gold. You know what I mean? It's that championship. It's that championship just aura, just the gold. You know, it's trophies. You know what I mean? Something you may not never know about. You know, I got a Y Factor trophy. You got a Y Factor, Spencer. You got a Y Factor trophy.
Two in a row,
got two
baby.
in a row. I got one. You know, we understand about the gold.
Two in a row.
You know.
Okay, now that that's out of the way, David, congratulations on the birth of your new son, Luke.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm glad I was able to join the ranks with you and Brian. I mean, you two had your boys before me. I've kind of finished it up here with the third one of the BYUtv Sports for this year, so feels good. As you guys know, not a ton of sleep the first few days, but that's anticipated. That's what caffeine is for, and gotta keep rolling.
That's true.
How much sleep did you get last night?
Hey, I actually slept pretty well. I took him from the 4:30 feeding, on to this morning. So I got a good solid 6-7 hours. I'm not complaining.
Hey man, I gotta say I'm blessed because my wife is doing all the work. I do absolutely nothing.
Brian lives in an alternate reality, David.
Thank you, Kenna, Logan. I appreciate that, man.
One where pink is rose gold,
and I don't have to get up to help my newborn out at all.
Okay, David, let's talk about football because you seem to know a thing or two about that. Just initially, your thoughts on Kalani Sitake bringing back Ben Cahoon for a second stint as the BYU wide receiver coach.
I like it. I like it a lot. I mean, you look at Ben Cahoon, a 13-year veteran in the CFL, won 3 Grey Cup championships. He's now in the Canadian Hall of Fame. I mean, the guy's done it all. And Brian and I can attest that there's something about having coaches that have played not only collegiately but professionally. And CFL, NFL, it is definitely next level. And so having a coach like that can come back and guys instantly respect those coaches. It's just not by happen chance that these guys go out there and get to that level. And so when a coach comes in and says, look, you need to run the route this way or you need to tackle this way, and they've been to that next level, then you respect him and say, okay, I trust this guy. He knows what he's talking about. He's been there. He's done that. And that's exactly what Coach Sitake is doing right now. He's surrounding himself with coaches that have been at that level and that have that experience, not just in the books, but obviously on the field.
Yeah, that's a great point, man. All my coaches, I could look back and there was just something different when I listened to their feedback. Not saying I didn't respect the ones that didn't, but there was something about taking a little bit more extra mental notes or trying maybe just a tad bit harder because I know that they could relate. But also from a recruiting standpoint to know that okay, maybe I can't go to the NFL, but maybe the CFL is an option like it was for me. And I remember a couple of teams actually were calling Coach Cahoon when he had took over right when I had left in 2010, asking about me. So, I mean, how much do you think that he can play that up with recruiting that, hey, even if you can't make it to the NFL, I have so much clout with the CFL, that's still another opportunity for you?
I think it's big. I think any credibility whatsoever of people that play at the next level that have connections. I still talk with some of my former coaches at NFL level, and so you can throw around names of guys that you're around that are BYU or whatever because they come asking me, what do you think about this guy or that guy? So I think, it sounds like Ben is in the same position with a lot of those former coaches up there in the CFL. They respect him. And they know that they can get an honest answer from him because he's been at that level as well, and they had their relationship with him. So no question, it's definitely a nice little pipeline.
This is a trend of bringing back former BYU guys that played here or have previously coached here as well in terms of Ben Cahoon. Like Mike Empey, and I bring up Mike Empey specifically because he recruited you, David Nixon. A lot of BYU fans are wondering, well, what kind of a guy is Mike Empey? What kind of a coach is he? What can you tell us about him?
Man, I love Coach Empey. He did. He came to Texas, recruited me. He was kind of the recruiting coordinator at that time when I was getting recruited. But when I came to BYU, I knew he was coaching the tight ends at the time, and you could tell A, he loved his players, but B, he was a players coach. And I tweeted this out a couple weeks ago, and people instantly started asking, what's a players coach? A players coach is a coach that has been at that level, as we just discussed with Ben Cahoon, and that has played the game and understands the game, and not only understands the game, but understands the toll that the game takes on you. And so you have a lot of coaches that haven't played at the D1 level that are coaches, and they don't get the constant grind and how your body starts to break down at the end of the season. And when you have a players coach, he pushes you. He definitely pushes you to your limit, but he also understands, look, I got to pull off a little bit because these guys, I mean, they're tired. I can tell when they're lagging because it's been a long week or they just came off a hard game. And I'm telling you right now, players respect that because players say, look, this guy's looking out for my well-being. He's not just trying to run me to the ground, but he cares about me as an individual. And that's Coach Empey. He's obviously on the offensive side of the ball, but I noticed that from all his tight ends, they all respected him. And he's a great coach to be around. And I think as we've seen him get out on the recruiting trail within these last few weeks since his hire, I think you've seen some positive things from recruits noticing that he's just a very genuine guy. But at the same time, he definitely knows his X's and O's. I mean, you look at his coaching experience, the head coach of Snow back in 1999, and of course then was blocking for Ty Detmer in 1991, and so he's got the experience on his side, and I expect him to get that offensive line that's already in great shape from Coach Tujay to the left. I think he'll continue to build on that and have those guys perform out there.
David, what do you think the biggest challenge these new coaches face when they're out on the road recruiting? I mean, these are kids that have committed to BYU that they've met with Coach Mendenhall and some of their position coaches, and now they're getting whole new faces, maybe a whole new scheme, guys talking to them that they've never even heard of.
Well, I think these coaches, some of them have been away from the game for a while, Empey and Cahoon being a few. And so for them to kind of get back in the game, I think that, other coaches, other teams might try to draw on that. But I think they should turn that into a strength and say, listen, I'm coming in here, I'm rejuvenated. I have some newfound excitement. I'm glad to be back in the game. And I think you share that with recruits. Yeah, I was out in the business world for a little while, but I miss this game so much, and I'm excited to get back to the grind that I'm ready to go at it. So I think there's some challenges with, of course, BYU. I mean, you're having kind of this BYU fraternity going on here, but with all the coaching hires. But I think all in all, it's gonna prove to be a success because you have everyone that's all on the same page. There's some synergy being built there amongst the coaching staff, I think, because they all pretty much play with each other or knew each other at some point in their BYU careers. That I think that will hopefully pay dividends on the field.
From a player's perspective, and you went through this in a roundabout way, David. You were playing under Gary Croton, and Mike Empey recruited you. And then you come home from your 2-year LDS mission, and you're playing for Bronco Mendenhall on a different staff. What is the toughest part of having a new coaching staff from a player's perspective?
Well, I think there's more positives than cons on this one, in the sense that, you are coming home and you're meeting a whole new staff, but for a lot of these players, these underclassmen, they maybe had some preconceived notions about them that the previous coaching staff had, guys that maybe were in the doghouse, but now it's all open. I mean, yeah, of course the coaches are going to watch the film and they're going to say, okay, these guys might be our projected starters because they produce, this amount on the field. But at the end of the day, I would imagine those coaches come in with an open mind and say, listen, all these positions are up for grab. You're going to fight for them. We're not going to play favorites. We don't know any of you super personally, right? I mean, we weren't here last year. And so this is all up for grabs. So for some of those younger guys and for some of those guys that, like I said, were maybe in the doghouse and maybe had rubbed certain coaches wrong, I think now is the time that they should be excited because it's a clean slate and they get to go after it. So I think there's more pros and cons, and even for the guys that are established. I mean, there is something good about change, and we discussed this when Coach Mendenhall left, and they named Coach Satake the head coach. But there is something good about change. And I think it does get some excitement around the facility and around the team about kind of going out there and running new schemes and taking a new stab at it.
David Nixon with us on BYU Sports Nation. By the way, David, do you know how many days until the BYU football season kicks off?
I wish it were like 2, but that's not the case.
Hit it!
Countdown to the Wildcats.
226. Woo! Nice, Brian.
Actually, I wish I didn't high five you. You've been making fun of me
Whatever,
my
man.
Pink,
It
my
sounded like there was some harmonizing going on.
That was perfect,
That
huh?
was pretty. Yeah.
The unintentional harmony.
Yeah, that would be. Hey, man, we practiced that. We practiced. We was in the back all morning practicing on that part right there.
Hey, if we got one thing right, we got the countdown right.
That's right.
2:26 away from BYU in Arizona. David, thanks for the insight, man. Congratulations again on the birth of your son, Luke, and we'll talk to you again soon.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, guys.
David Nixon on the Deseret First Credit Union Hotline. Deseret First, your values, your timeline, your financial future.